All right, well, welcome to week one of our church-wide series on Joshua. So over the next 6 weeks, we're going to be digging into the life of Joshua and looking at the way that God used him through his obedience, through his yes to the Lord. Joshua experienced many ups and downs on his journey, but what we're going to see is that wherever he went over the course of his life, God was consistently with him. And that's the theme of our church-wide series, is wherever you go. And as this unfolds, I think what we'll see is that there are reflections even for our own lives, that wherever we go on this journey, the Lord is with us. So I'm joined by several good friends here, and we're going to jump in and begin to look at the life of Joshua. So we're going to start with Joshua chapter 1. And in this story, we see where kind of the torch is being handed from Moses to Joshua. And for Joshua, you know, this was probably a nerve-wracking moment of stepping into the shoes of this great man of God who had led the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt and into what God had for them. He saw Moses performing all these miracles, and I'm sure he's thinking to himself, how am I going to do what this man did, these great miracles and signs and wonders that he had seen? But his answer to the Lord was yes. So I guess that's my first question to the group here is, like, have you ever stepped into something new in your life, a new role, a new job that you didn't necessarily feel equipped for, but you just stepped into it? Tell me what that was like.
Yeah, I've definitely stepped into a role that I didn't feel like I was equipped, but I just stepped out in faith and had the belief that I could do it, even though maybe there's some learning process involved.
Well, now you got to tell us what it was.
Well, I think any new venture that you're going to now, I mean, for me, now I'm doing home inspection, so I'm learning that.
A new job, yeah.
That's a new career. There's always something new to learn. There's always a challenge in front of you.
Yeah. And Tierney, how about you? Have you ever stepped out into something new that you didn't necessarily feel qualified for? Or
Kind of the same thing, all different kinds of things, but I think because of the stage of life that we're in is parenthood, being a mom. Like, you don't get a manual, you don't know what you're doing, and you just have to go on faith. You have to just trust your instinct and lean on other people that have been there and doing the things that you're doing, and pray and just ask for that guidance. And, you know, Lord, what am I doing? You know, what's the next thing? And how do I get from, you know, infancy to toddlers, and now we're school age kids, and every step I feel like is a new thing of, you know, it's just as you find what works, you're in a new stage of life. Right. And so you just, you know, have to lean into your faith and pray harder and just trust that he's got you.
Isn't it true with kids? It's like every day, it's like everything changes, the rules change, and it's like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, they say something new or do something new, and you're like, well, okay, we haven't seen that yet. Right. So, you know, yeah, so.
Zach, how did you handle becoming a dad? And
So it was, I feel like my job kind of helped a lot with that, because my job, you know, we have to think 3 or 4 steps ahead to prevent what we're doing at the moment and problems being created right then.
Yeah.
And so just the constant having to adapt all day long, I feel like was a big help for me. And so going into that and having the courage in that also helped me further seek my courage from, you know, God, and just asking him for his help and everything, you know, because he had already equipped me to handle things that I had dealt with previously, you know.
Yeah. That's the wild thing about parenthood. It's like people have been doing it for thousands of years, but it's like, it's new to me, you know?
Yeah. And not every 2 kids are the same.
Right.
Yeah.
But don't you find that, I have these experiences in my life, whether it's your job or other tools in your tool belt, you're like, oh, okay. You find that you can handle it, that you have what you need in the moment. Yeah.
Right. The job that I'm doing now, I kind of just fell into it. I had been a nurse for 15, 16 years, and I had gotten sick, had a heart attack at work, and I couldn't work. I had so many things going on that I just had to sit all day at home because they wouldn't let me come back to work. And so I just took a leap. I went back on the federal website looking for another job, and I took a desk job in whole health. well, once the ladies start checking me out and everything, it was like, you need to be a facilitator. You need to be a coach. I was so afraid because I thought those type of roles, I would need a whole lot more education that I did not have. I just didn't see myself doing that. And it took everybody around me to encourage me to do it. And I had to trust God because they wouldn't let me say no. I wanted to say no, but everything around me, within me, was saying yes. You were built for this moment. And somebody actually said that to me, and I was like, oh my goodness. Since then, it's been almost going on 3 years, 2 to 3 years. And just seeing how God uses me in that role. They even have a portion what I got training for, Healing Touch. And you can actually lay hands on people.
Yeah.
It's just so awesome that everything that you would want to do at work as a child of God, as a minister of God, wherever your field is, that's where God is going to be, and he wants you to work there. There's a lot of times I'm in conversations, I don't even feel like I'm qualified to even talk. If you knew what they were doing in their role in life, then you would feel intimidated. But when you know that God is speaking through you, that he had to speak through people in the Bible.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. One of the things that you said was that you were afraid.
Yeah.
And it's funny in that, and Katie, I'm going to ask you this question. In this the story of Joshua, what you see over and over again, God saying to Joshua, don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Do not be afraid. And even in scripture, you see that happening all over the place. God telling people, don't be afraid. So for you, why do you think that God had to say that to him so many times? And what do you think that means for your life?
Well, I feel like when you are afraid, especially when you're afraid of something you're being called to do, it shows a lack of faith and a lack of trust in God. I actually constantly have been telling myself, because I'm in a season where there's just lots of news all the time, and I have to remind myself, not to be afraid, because then it makes me reflect and think, if I'm afraid, I'm not trusting God and having faith in him for what he's calling me to do. I feel like it's a constant reminder to just do not be afraid, trust in my plan.
The voice of God, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Well, and you have to imagine that you've got Joshua looking at this great man who he's going to replace. And he's like, who am I to fill these shoes? And it reminds me of, we sort of live in this culture of comparison all the time. Like you look at the people around you, you're comparing yourself, the leader that you want to be, the person that you want to be. Have any of you ever faced like that comparison in your life? And how do you deal with the temptation of comparison?
With all the different influencers and Instagram and TikTok, it's so much more easy to compare yourself to anybody in the world now. Not just, before it was just your neighbors, keeping up with the Joneses. Well, now the Joneses are bigger and more, and they convince you that if you want to be happy in life, you need this product, or you need to go on this trip, or something like that. And so I think it's very easy to fall into that of, if I want to be a good mom, then my kids cannot have this screen time, or they have to have this toy, or we need to go on this vacation, or something like that. And if you want to be successful in your career, then you have to be, not necessarily successful in career, but just in life. By the time you're 30, you have to have hit this, and this milestone. And that's not true at all. I think as human beings, we have this drive in us, that we are looking to fill this hole. We want something, and so we go after this product and this thing. But what people don't realize is that it's God. That's
what we really desire.
Yes, that's what we really desire. So we're going to continue to not feel adequate if we're looking at all these different things in life, because we're searching in the wrong places.
Yeah.
So,
and I bet you're not alone in that. Like, especially as a parent, all the things that you should be doing as a parent. Zach, have you ever felt that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. she said, with social media nowadays and everybody posting what you should do and what you shouldn't do and this and that, and it's simple. It's simple because it just comes down to his word, right? And staying in his word. And he's the only one influencer that we need to follow.
Sure.
And he lays it out in the Bible for us, everything. It's the instruction manual for life that we need, on money, on raising kids, on just everything, like us being in the parenthood right now and raising our kids up within that, it's really big for us too.
Me being a young person, social media only shows all the good, and it's so easy to compare yourself to things that aren't real and the real life struggles. And I compare myself, people are getting married and getting engaged, and maybe I'm not in that season of life, and I compare what's my life and God's planning for me to others, and I'm focused on that instead of what he has for me.
Yeah, so let me just ask you, like, practically from your perspective, what do you do to help yourself or guard yourself against that whole compare game with other people?
Part of it's shutting off my phone. I feel like I do a lot of screen time, but like I said, just really getting in God's word and reminding myself that my journey isn't going to look like everybody's, and God has something special for me specifically. For my calling, and I just have to really dive into that and remind myself, pray. I pray a lot.
Pray, remind yourself, that's good. And, so like here we are, ordinary people, right? None of us are, at least I think, are rock stars or superstars or whatever. But so let me just ask you, like, why do you think God chooses ordinary people like us to like live out his plan through us?
I think we're more relatable to other people when we are that way, because my life is not all together. I'm a health and wellness coach, and half time I feel like I'm not well. Like, what am I going to tell people? That does not stop them from listening, because our issues sometimes connect. People see realness when you talk about how you deal with real life. They talk about their pain, and for some reason, they want to hear about mine sometimes,
Yeah, it is. And it's so good. I love the point that you make of, like, I don't know, ordinary people to ordinary people. It's like you speak this common language of the heart that it just allows you to connect with other people in real ways. And pick a story in scripture. It seems like over and over, God just picks these ordinary people, to do his will. And I'm glad you mentioned pain. And Chase, I want to just ask you about this, like we have these moments, I don't know, stress is kind of an epidemic in our culture. We can find peace in the stress of things when God is with us. Have you had a moment in your life where you've experienced stress or pain and you felt like the Lord was with you even in that uncertainty?
Absolutely. I think in my job that I do daily, it's kind of a high volume, fast pace, plenty of eyes looking at you, and those times I have to just center myself and understand that I'm doing the best I can. I'm being efficient, but then also in that I come across different people, different attitudes, and I have to also give grace in those times. It's important for me to be kind of centered or plumbed with that thought process, and it definitely makes my night and day flow smoother, even though I'm handling a lot of different things maybe at different times.
Yeah.
Also, I find when I'm in line with the Lord, I feel like my joy is there, and my joy is intact, and it's different than happiness. It's different than anything that you're kind of dealing with in any given moment in times of pain or strife, struggle. You can find joy in the Lord.
And that's true, yeah. And whatever we encounter in life, whether it's the everyday stress of work, the stress of parenting, stress of comparison, stress and health issues, things like that. It's like, it's amazing the way that God like meets us and intersects us. And we can look at the story of Joshua, and it's like not that far away. The things that he was feeling are real for us as well. Yeah, thank you for your input. That's awesome. And it's this reminder for us that wherever we go in this life, God's calling us. He's calling us to his best in his life. And I think we can be sure that wherever God calls us to, that he will be with us, and he'll be there with us to intersect with his peace, with the wisdom that we need. And oftentimes we even find that he has already been orchestrating things in our lives or in the lives of people around us. We're going to go ahead and release you then to your small group time. And I think there's questions for you to discuss with your small group. But thanks for spending this first session with us.